Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Goin Postal, a podcast where we talk about things that we can help you with in the postal world of retirement. We're going to talk about Medicare and how it coordinates with your federal employee health benefits. So stay tuned. We'll see you on the flip side. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. Tim Nolan here with Postal Blue Book Help. This is our Goin Postal podcast. Got my partner in crime, Joe Cuny.
Good morning.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Great. How are you?
Doing great. Hey, we had some exciting venture we went on a couple weeks ago, didn't we?
Yeah, we went to North Carolina to the SOC.
Yeah.
And got to spend some time with a lot of postmasters, which was a lot of fun.
Always.
But we also got to ride in a NASCAR.
That was exhilarating. 160 miles an hour around the Charlotte Motor Speedway. That was quite the experience, wouldn't you say?
It was. You know, I usually don't get too worked up about those sort of things, but when they strapped me in that car, my heart rate went up quite a bit.
Yeah. I looked down at my watch, same thing. Heart rate went up, and well, first I had to manage to get into the car.
Right, which
Dukes
was a struggle for both of us.
Yeah, well, when you're our size, it's a little bit of a struggle to get inside of a NASCAR where the doors are welded shut, and
right,
you have to slide in through the window. I really wanted to slide across the hood of the car, like Dukes of Hazzard style, but
Bo and Luke.
Bo and Luke. You know it. Well, hey, everyone, thanks for joining us again. Hope you're enjoying all the episodes that we've created for you. We're going to tell you a little bit about ourselves again. You know, we're here. We educate postal employees about their federal benefits, making sure that they know the decisions that they make are irreversible when they go to retire. But our main focus is to educate you about your benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. We've done, I think, 5 episodes so far. This is going to be our 6th.
Yep.
Like Tim said, hopefully it's been educational for you guys. You've learned a lot. You can reach out to us anytime on postalbluebookhelp.com or .net. Which one is it?
.com.
.com.
Okay. And also our Facebook page, which is just at Postal Blue Book Help. So all you social media people out there, go check us out. Give us a like. Check out our YouTube channel here. You can see that below. Our YouTube channel, Postal Blue Book Help as well. Check out our Goin Postal podcast episodes.
And I don't think we ever talked about all the other streaming abilities that people have, right? I mean, we're on every platform.
Every podcast platform. Pick it, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Amazon, you name it, guys. If you're riding in your car, actually, you know what? We had a postmaster from Iowa who tuned in while they were on a drive. We'd like to give a big shout out to the Iowa postmasters, Rich Springer and Carrie Nichols, and the UPMA president, Jeff Armett, for welcoming us last week for some of their meetings. We zoomed in and helped educate some of they had a meeting. They were eating some pizza, maybe having a few adult cocktails. And we did quick 30-minute presentation covering some of the topics that we've gone through in these last episodes.
So they did kind of like a road show, is that correct?
Yeah, it was. It was a road show.
So they went to a couple different cities throughout the state of Iowa.
Yep.
And then at 7 o'clock at night had asked Tim and Fred, who's another one of our colleagues who we're going to have on in some of the upcoming episodes, to zoom in and actually do a presentation to a lot of their postmasters that were at this meeting.
Yeah, and those are great things for anyone out there that would like us to partake in that same situation for you. It was a 3-digit meeting, and there were a lot of young folks, young postmasters at that meeting, which is great. I think we've talked about in previous episodes, Joe, that, we don't have to help just the people that are getting ready to retire, right?
Sure.
We want to help those that are, in their late 20s or early 30s that are just getting into the postmaster position, or just any postal position for that matter, clerk or RCA or letter carrier, whatever, and help them make sure they understand their benefits moving forward in their career.
Yeah.
Because making sure that you understand those now makes when you're ready to retire a lot easier.
Yeah, and you know, also making sure that they're prepared at an early age if they want to look at different things like outside life insurance.
Sure.
The younger you are, and we've talked about this already, and the healthier you are, and we know we're always healthier when we're younger, the less expensive that life insurance is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
absolutely. You know, and we've talked a little bit more about what we do. You know, obviously we help you fill out that blue book. We know it's a white book. We talk about it all the time in the past few episodes at no cost. So there are other companies out there that are charging you again for the services, but we go through the blue book for you, fill it out, send it over to you, make sure you know where to share it, where to send it, to shared services. And do that at zero cost for you. Also, talk a little bit about our seminars, and we have some things coming up here in the next couple of weeks that we're helping out another postmaster in Florida.
Yeah, so it's, I believe, is it next week that Dawn from the Miami area?
Yep.
We're going to Zoom in with her and start some seminar talk, right?
Yeah. We're meeting with 31 or so of her postmasters and managers to just basically tell them about our services, share these podcasts as well so they can get some valuable information. And then there's been discussion about us going down to Miami. Would it be horrible to go to Miami in November, December, Joe?
No, it's better than here in St. Louis.
That's right. That's right. Weather's starting to change, temperatures falling, trees are changing. So why not get down to a little bit warmer climate maybe and educate some postal employees?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It sounds horrible, but we have to do it. It's our job.
That's right.
Right. So again, guys, Goin Postal Podcast. Check us out at postalbluebookhelp.com. You know, there's breakdowns sometimes in your benefits. You know, just like that good old LLV Cadillac that you guys drive, there are breakdowns. And so we're here to help identify those breakdowns and maybe going back to the younger people, preventing breakdowns and making sure that we have things in place sooner than later before you get to retirement to make sure that you can have a very easygoing transition when you do get to retirement.
Absolutely. What are we talking about today?
Oh, hey, you know, it's middle of October, almost November, and Medicare season's upon us. So why not have episode 6 be all about Medicare basics as well as how it coordinates with your FEHB?
Yeah, and I think we've talked about through a couple episodes that we've done already that we are a three-legged stool. And one of those legs is we do help people with Medicare. So there are a couple basics that we want to go over with you guys. Talk about Medicare, talk about your FEHB. Does it make sense to go on Medicare? Does it make sense to keep FEHB? It's really a personal thing. You know, we have to talk to you one-on-one to be able to understand your situation and what makes the best sense for you.
Sure.
But we're going to kind of get into, you know, all the different parts of Medicare in this episode so you guys can understand it. And if you don't understand it, obviously reach out to us on Postal Blue Book Help, Facebook, whatever it is, and we'll be able to help you out in a one-on-one situation rather than just us trying to explain it to you, you know, via this podcast.
Yeah. And for that matter, you know, even if let's say you're a postal employee who's not of Medicare age yet, but your spouse is. You know, maybe you married an older person, and they're coming into Medicare age and they need assistance. Guys, our help extends beyond just helping the actual postal employee and federal employee for that matter. We will help your family, your spouse, etc., understand all their benefits, I guess, for that matter, Medicare.
Right.
We will help them get signed up properly on Medicare. So, let's get into a little bit about the different parts of Medicare. Everybody hears, well, there's Medicare Part A, B, C, D. I've heard all these different letters. Medicare Part A. What is Part A, Joe?
So Part A is your basic Medicare needs, right? I mean, it's hospitalization, right?
Yep.
So you got to make sure whether you are sticking with FEHB or you're not, that you have to sign up for A 3 months before your 65th birthday, the month of your 65th birthday, or 3 months after Otherwise, you'll be penalized if you don't.
Right.
So, we get that question a lot with federal employees is, well, I'm keeping my FEHB. I don't want Medicare. And that's fine, but you have to make sure that with Part A that you sign up for it within those 7 months.
Right. And there's zero cost for Part A, folks. You have been paying into Medicare your entire working career. And so Medicare Part A is at zero cost to you.
Right.
Now, you've already paid for it. You've prepaid for hospitalization on the Medicare side throughout your entire career. So understand that Medicare Part A, even if you are working, sign up for Medicare Part A in that 7-month window that Joe mentioned, and there's no cost to you. Okay.
Part B.
But Medicare Part B. Medicare Part B is your doctor services, right? And Medicare Part B is one of those things that you don't have to take, but we get that question a lot. Should I sign up for Medicare Part B? Medicare Part B, I'd say, it depends. It depends on your situation.
Yep.
There's a lot of different things that go into that. Are you single? Are you married? Is your spouse of Medicare age? Are you keeping your federal health benefits? Right. Another big question we get, are we keeping those? Or is your spouse covered under their own health plan? Maybe they're still working. Are they employed under a health plan?
Yeah.
Medicare in 2023, Medicare Part B is costing $164.90 for most individuals. It is income based, but for most of the individuals that we meet with, it's $164.90. So some of the questions we get are, well, do I have that? And do I also keep FEHB?
Right. And in most cases, it probably doesn't make sense to do both, right?
Right.
You just have to make that decision, and sitting down with a Medicare expert like Tim and myself makes the most sense, because it is one of those situations where, do I want to continue paying for FEHB, or should I just pay the $170 a month? I round up $170 a month. They take that directly out of your Social Security payment.
Yep.
Does it make sense to continue to pay $300 or $400 for FEHB, depending on whether you're single or if you're married? I mean, we know the cost goes up if you have another dependent on those benefits. But it's confusing. If you're not an expert in that field, you need to talk to somebody that will help you and guide you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we get the question about the Part B and saying, well, do I have to keep FEHB and pay for both, which you just kind of referenced. Right. But the question is, it depends. I mean, the answer is it depends, really.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody's situation is different, and there's a lot of different things that you can do. You can suspend. We're going to talk about that. You can suspend your FEHB. A lot of people think also that you can't get Part B if you're not claiming Social Security.
Right.
So people say, well, I'm not going to claim till 67 or 66 in a few months, because that's my full retirement age when it regards to Social Security. Right.
Right.
So I'm not eligible. Well, you are. They just won't they won't deduct it out of any Social Security because you're not claiming Social Security. So then they just bill you on a quarterly basis.
Exactly.
Right. I had a client that I met with the other day. He wasn't claiming Social Security until he's 70, but he wanted to go on Medicare. I said, great. They're just going to bill you on a quarterly basis. That $164.90, they're going to bill you in quarterly payments.
Sure.
Instead of just taking it out of a check. So that can be done. Again, talk with us. We'll look at your specific situation. We'll be able to help you.
Yep. And then Part D, I'm going to skip C, and there's a good reason why. We'll get into that later. But Part D is your prescription drug plan. So what a lot of people do, if you have a Medicare supplement, they'll pay for a prescription drug plan, right? Yep. Which usually is anywhere from $30 to $70 a month, depending on which plan that you pick.
Right.
And then there is Part C, which I'll let you explain.
Yeah. So Part C is a combination of A, B, and D. It's a Medicare Advantage plan, and it's sometimes confused with a Medicare supplement plan, which the supplement is completely different. Excuse me, just knocked the microphone. But it's completely different. It's anywhere from, they have parts F through N and all these different letters of the alphabet. And a supplement is completely different from an Advantage plan. And an Advantage plan, again, is a combination of A, B, and D, right? And they coordinate also with FEHB if you decide to keep your FEHB plan. but they are a plan all encumbered together at zero cost.
Right.
Most plans are zero cost on a monthly basis, and they have a lot of extra benefits.
They do.
They'll have dental, they'll have vision, they'll have hearing included in them, right? So some of you may keep FEHB and then be paying for FedVip, your vision and your dental plan. Well, then you're kind of double playing the game where you're paying for two things. Right. And for some folks, it does make sense. They want to have that. And we know that in 2025, they're still working in the government about how postal employees are going to have to go onto a Medicare Advantage plan or a Medicare plan, and FEHB isn't going to be, there's a lot of things that we're not ready to talk to you about because we don't know all the specifics yet. They haven't finalized everything on how it's going to affect you guys. But for all intents and purposes, Medicare Advantage plan is all inclusive.
Right.
Right. So it's going to include everything you need.
Yep. A, B, and D all combined into one to equal C, right, which makes zero sense, but
right.
Well, the federal government put it
together,
again, right? So, but it is a little confusing, you guys. I mean, Tim and I can sit here and probably talk about it till we're blue in the face, but until you guys, reach out to us in your personal situation and go over this stuff with us, you probably won't understand it completely.
Right. And let's get in real quick. Let's take one little known fact is that you can actually suspend your FEHB, right? So if you're one that is either aging into age 65 and or you're retiring at 65 or later, and you're questioning, well, you know what, I've heard really good things about these Medicare Advantage plans or any type of Medicare plan for that matter. And, I really don't want to pay for both, but, so a lot of people say, oh, maybe I'm just going to cancel my FEHB. Whoa, stop.
Don't ever do that.
Don't cancel.
Right.
You have the ability to suspend your FEHB benefits and then re-enroll during an open enrollment period. So what we've suggested to some clients based upon their situation is, FEHB's going to be, let's just say $250 a month in retirement. Well, Medicare Part B on a Medicare Advantage plan is $164.90. Let's save you that $90 a month.
Sure.
Let's try it out for a year. See if you like the plan, the Medicare Advantage plan, and all your major carriers offer them. United Healthcare, Anthem, Cigna, Aetna, Humana. I mean, I'm sure you guys are tired of watching the commercials every day, all night, all day about Medicare Advantage plans, and we got all these celebrities doing the different promotions for these companies.
Joe Namath,
yeah, everybody's favorite, and then Jimmy.
Good Times Walker.
That's right, Jimmy Walker.
Yep.
Dynamite. I can't do it as well as he can, but guys, you have the ability to suspend your benefit. All right, your price is going to stay the same, right? Suspend your benefit and try out Medicare for a year.
Right. And just to review, you guys, do not cancel, always suspend, right?
Yeah.
Because that means that if you want to try Medicare out, like Tim said, for a year, and you end up not liking it, or a Medicare Advantage plan, I should say, then you can go right back on your FEHB benefits.
Right. So let's get into a quick example. There's a couple of quick examples we want to talk about because sometimes you're in a situation where you, the retiree, annuitant, they're called, you're 65, but your spouse is not of Medicare age or doesn't qualify for Medicare yet, right? So there's some decisions to be made there, and it needs to be talked out, especially with one of us, because we can make sure you understand the decisions you do make, right? We don't want to make a bad decision. So you're 65, considering going on Medicare and suspending FEHB. Well, but what about if you're carrying your spouse on your FEHB? Right. And again, some of that goes back to previous episode that we talked about pension survivor benefit and your spouse being able to continue or you being able to continue those benefits, right? And if tragedy would happen, does your spouse able to continue those federal health benefits? Well, if you made a decision to go on Medicare and not have anything for your spouse, that could be a detrimental decision for you and your family.
Yeah, I mean, I would say in 95% of the cases, you're not going to want to do that, right?
Right.
If you're 65, your spouse is under 65, you're carrying the benefits, you go off those benefits. I mean, even if you suspend them, then they don't have any health insurance.
Right.
So it's not going to make sense to to probably do that.
Right. The only time that may make sense is if your spouse is covered under maybe their own plan, or they have the ability to get on their own plan under their employer if they are still working, then it may make sense.
Sure.
Right. Another example, you're both 65 years old, you're both eligible for Medicare. What makes sense to do? Right. Should we look at it and say, because Medicare is an individual payment, it's $164.90 per person, right, on their Part B. Does it make sense for you both to have Medicare? Or does it make sense for you to just have Part A that you're not paying for and then keeping your FEHB? Because maybe the spousal rate for FEHB for the two of you is cheaper than both of you paying for Medicare Part B.
Yeah, because you're going to have a minimum of $320
right.
between the two of you paying for Part B.
Right. And if your FEHB is cheaper than that, then obviously dollars and cents, it makes sense to keep the FEHB.
Yeah.
Right. And then the last situation would be, an unmarried person and going on Medicare or sticking with your FEHB. Maybe they're similar in price. Maybe Part B is $164.90, and maybe your FEHB for you only, because you're not covering a spouse or any children, is $190 a month or $140 a month.
Right.
Obviously, the cheaper it might make more sense to do. But then you have to add in: are you keeping vision? Are you keeping dental? Because again, those are decisions that you have to make when you fill out your retirement paperwork. You want to keep it if you're eligible for it. What makes the most sense? And again, consulting someone else like Joe and myself, or consulting Joe and myself, it is a good decision to make.
Yeah, you got to put pen to paper, and you got to see what makes the best sense for you as an individual or as a family.
Right, absolutely. And we can help you enroll in Medicare Part A and or A and B. Mm-hmm. Right, we'll help you, guide you through the Medicare website, because it is like a spider web. There's a lot of different things you have to do. You have to tie in with Social Security and make sure that maybe you're not claiming Social Security and you want to just register and get signed up for Medicare. We'll help you with all that, guys. At what cost, Joe?
No cost.
Zero cost.
Right.
We don't like to use the word free. Zero cost. In the Medicare world, you can never say the word free, so we always say
at no cost.
Zero premium,
cost.
Zero cost.
Yep.
No premium, no cost, whatever you want to say. I think that pretty much wraps up right now. I mean, we could go, again, like you said, we could go down that rabbit hole and probably sit here and talk for another hour about Medicare.
Right. But it wouldn't make sense for us to do that, because everybody's got their own personal situation. So if you guys need some help with that, be happy to help you. Reach out to us.
Yep. Check us out at postalbluebookhelp.com. You can also find us on Facebook at Postal Blue Book Help. Also, we have our YouTube channel, everything listed below on this podcast. And guys, tune in on your favorite radio dial or smartphone on all podcast platforms and give us a listen. Check out our past episodes. We have a great information out there for you. Next week, we're going to open up the discussion and talk about retirees that we've met over the past few months and year at these conventions, because sometimes I feel like they don't think we can assist them, and there are some things we can help them with.
Yeah,
Medicare being one of those things.
Absolutely.
Yep. So give us a like, share, and subscribe below. We're Going Postal Podcast, Going Postal Blue Book Help.
Yep.